89.3 FM, the only radio other radio stations listen to.
Not just another radio station. Wells Radio 89.3 FM. Broadcasting from Ibadan or your state brings you wholesome programs for you and your family.
Olúwa ti ṣe iná o, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ ògo Olúwa lè yí jẹ́ o, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ 89.3 FM làwa ń gbọ́, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ lólúyọ̀lé estate làkàlẹ̀ sí, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ báwọn àgbà ṣe ń gbọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́mọdé ń gbọ́, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ ìlérí Olúwa lè yí jẹ́ o, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ àṣẹ Olúwa lè yí jẹ́ o, West Radio ti dòde o, ẹ máa gbọ́ wa gbọ́ wa o, kúròyìn àsìkò tó pójú owó fẹ́rẹ̀ ìdárayá lóríṣiríṣi kápolówó ọjà ò kájé ó wọgbà Hosanna ló ní ẹ máa gbọ́ wa o, ẹ máa gbọ́ wa. West Radio 89.3 FM àwa ni bàbá.
All right, studio time check says it's 34 minutes past 6 a.m. Today is the 18th day in the 9th month of the year 2025. A wonderful Thursday morning. Another day to arise and shine. Good morning to you, dear listener. Thank you for tuning to Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio, your number one family radio in the whole of Oyo State. We're broadcasting live from the Wells Broadcasting House, which is located along Alafin Avenue, Oluyole State, Ibadan. My name is Bolanle Oduekun-Ayoola, and I welcome you once again to Perspectives Unlimited, where we take a look at headlines and stories making the rounds across the different dailies in Nigeria. On Perspectives, we take a look at headlines and stories across the different dailies. We talk about them, we discuss, we help you make sense of these stories by going beyond the news. Okay, so just stay tuned, stay relaxed, and of course, when time comes, you'll also be able to join the program by either placing a call through or dropping your comments on our Facebook fan page or sending us a WhatsApp message. Which brings me to the fact that we're currently live on Facebook at the moment. Go watch us live at Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. I'll take that again. Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. You can watch us and drop your comments. All right, so this morning, without further ado, we'll start from the dailies. On the front page of the Punch newspaper, it says emergency rule, winners, losers, as Tinubu reinstates Fubara. President justifies action as over 40 court cases pending, cautions governors on good governance. Wike, Rivers will henceforth witness peace, progress. 6 months wasted, Rivers elders lament. That story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. SSCE, NECO probes mass cheating in 13 states. That's on page 7. Federal government, states, local governments shared 2.2 trillion naira August revenue. That's from the FAC on page 23. Cash transfer. Federal government pays 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households. That story is on page 23. UK-Nigeria bilateral trade hits 16 trillion naira rather. British envoy, that's on page 18 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Federal government returns history to basic school curriculum. That's on page 19. Federal government votes 300 billion naira to power teaching hospitals and universities. You find that on page 19. 7 victims confirmed killed in Lagos building fire. You find that on pages 4 and 5. And we see here thousands protest in London over Trump UK visits. That story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Taking a look at more headlines on the different dailies, we'll take a look at the headlines on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Rivers emergency rule. Tinubu returns for Bara after 6 months suspension. Says over 40 cases were instituted against the proclamation. Mixed reactions in Rivers. That story is on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Gunmen on motorbikes storm baptism ceremony in Niger Republic, killed 22. That's on page 15. I am not joining ADC, says Adeleke. You find that on page 24. 2027, despite endorsements, Tinubu must emerge at convention. That's from the APC national chairman, denies INEC's claim of early campaign, says ADC, not an organized opposition. That story is on page 4. More headlines. 60.26% of NECO candidates obtained 5 credit passes, including maths and English. Results of 3,878 candidates withheld over exam malpractice. That's on page 3. More headlines. Ondo PDP candidate Agbola withdraws Supreme Court appeal against Aiyedatiwa. That's on page 4. And we have here NBS report proof of our investment in agriculture, says Oyebanji. That's on page 24 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. We'll also have this. Saudi authorities free 3 Nigerian pilgrims arrested for drug trafficking. That's on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, the stories are very similar, so we'll just pick one or two. NECA urges strategic monetary policy easing as IMPI projects 17% inflation by year end. That story is on page 3. Anambra Guba, play by rules, Ohaneze tells Soludo Ukachukwu Ekunife. That story is on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. More headlines. Traders count losses as UBF, FIRS mourn staff lost in Lagos fire. You find that on page 8 of the Guardian newspaper. Dapman Dangote Bika over diversion allegation, 1.5 trillion naira subsidy demands. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And finally, World Patient Safety Day. LASG bemoans wastage in healthcare delivery. That story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Once again, good morning and welcome to Perspectives Unlimited. All right, you're welcome back to Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. I am Bolanle Oduekun-Ayoola. At this point, I'll bring in our analyst on the show today, Mr. Olali Konsani. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, madam.
How do you do?
I'm doing well. How about you?
We thank God. All right. Obviously, the big story this morning is the return of Governor Siminalayi Fubara as the governor. Well, he was a suspended governor as of yesterday morning, and then he ended the night, being reinstated as governor of Rivers State. But before we take a look at his matter, let's talk about the stewardship of IBAS, in Rivers State. Now, there have been calls. Many people have called to, for accountability for Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ekwe Ibas, retired, to account for the things that he has done in Rivers. They're saying, we want you to account for the monies spent, projects conducted. It's not just all about this local government election, which seems to be his primary aim, and all of that. As a matter of fact, I believe that some people are even protesting that they've been owed monies. And we're not exactly hearing anything from the Senate as regards, whether he's going to be called to tender or an account of his time in Rivers State. What do you think?
In all seriousness, if Ibas were to be an honorable human being, nobody should ask him before he releases an audited account of River State as regards revenue and expenditure. He was there for 6 months illegally, in my opinion. He got a budget of over 1 trillion naira, and not at any point in time can I remember in my head as I speak to you where he gathered people for a project commissioning. It didn't happen. He did not commission any project. In fact, we are so funny in this country that it's not just at the commissioning stage that we gather journalists and, photographers and all sorts. Even at the point of launching a project, we gather journalists, everybody. It didn't happen. And this guy got a budget of over 1 trillion naira. I should tell you that in terms of accounts, Rivers State is a very, very, very wealthy state. It is an oil-producing state, and it is the economic capital of the South-South region. So a lot of economic activities are going on there. You talk of payee, talk of all sorts of tax, 13%, everything. it is natural for us to know how this guy spent this money.
Now, Mr. Sani, in May, I believe, the Senate constituted an 18-member committee, and their sole responsibility was to oversee the activities of the River State Sole Administrator at that time, Vice Admiral Iboke Tebas.
I can also tell you that
Isn't, should this then be the job of the committee to say, we oversaw his activities and this is what we have gotten?
I can also tell you that they asked him to come and defend some things, especially the budget.
The budget,
He just
yes.
submitted the budget and left, which is not done. So they asked him to call back. Some are even say, oh, we're not going to approve it. And the next thing we heard was that they had a meeting with the president and the Minister of FCT. And at that particular point, they just approved what they said as of yesterday that they were not going to approve. That tells you that whatever happened behind closed doors, it didn't happen for the sake of the average Rivers person. It was all about political consideration, and maybe you bring this contractor. I mean, maybe like I am saying. But the truth of the matter is that irrespective of what might have happened behind closed doors, integrity demands that you tell the whole world that as governor of Rivers State, as the legal administrator of Rivers State,
as a sole administrator of Rivers State,
this is what I met on the ground. This is what came
done
into the account. This is what I was able to do. These are the projects I was able to complete. These are the projects I started that I would have completed if not for the fact that I'll be there for 6 months. And this is what is left in the account of Rivers State. I mean, if he had done that, someone like me might have said, okay, there was bread in his hand, he needed butter, and somebody called him to come and add butter to his bread. Let's forget about that. Let's now talk about the person, what took him to Rivers State. I said it then and I'm saying it. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu committed a grave offense against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria the day he said he suspended Fubara. I'm not a fan of Fubara. I do not support any politician, but I'm a practical person. Obasanjo made the same mistake. He made that mistake in Ekiti. He made it in Plateau.
With Fayose
and Dariye then. Yes, there is room for... A lot of people don't get some things right. The president can wake up one morning and say, okay, there is an elevated level of insecurity in state XYZ. And for that reason, I am declaring a state of emergency. I should tell you that the very first thing that should warrant a state of emergency is not even insecurity. It's a natural disaster, as stated in the Constitution. But if insecurity now gets out of hand, you may say you want to declare a state of emergency, but there is no part of the Constitution that says that the governor has to leave in the name of state of emergency. Because once the governor goes, the state of assembly goes, you have denied the people of that state representation at the center where their matters are going to be discussed.
All right, before I move further, Mr. Sani, let's listen to what the president had to say yesterday. It's just about 8 minutes.
Okay.
You want to say something?
No, not at all.
Okay, so we'll just quickly go and listen to what the president had to say. Because again, the president did say a lot in his speech, talking about people who were against that particular issue. So let's go on and listen to that, and we'll be right back.
Fellow Nigerians, I feel greatly disturbed at the tone we have come to regarding the political crisis in Rivers State. Like many of you, I have watched with concern the development, with hope that the parties involved will allow good sense to prevail at the soonest. But all that hope borne out without any solution to the crisis. With the crisis persisting, there's no way democratic governance, which we all fought and worked for over the years, can thrive in a way that will redound to the benefit of the good people of the state. The state has been at a standstill since the crisis started, with the good people of the state not being able to have access to the dividend of democracy. Also, it is public knowledge that the governor of Rivers State, for unjustifiable reasons, demolished the House of Assembly of the state as far back as 13th December 2023, and as up till now, 14 months after, now rebuilt the same. I have made personal interventions between the contending parties for a peaceful resolution of this crisis, but my efforts have been largely ignored by the parties to the crisis. I'm also aware that many well-meaning Nigerians, leaders of thought, and patriotic groups have also intervened at various times with the best of intentions to resolve the matter, but all their efforts were also to no avail. Still, I thank them. On February 28, 2025, the Supreme Court, in a judgment in respect to all about 8 consolidated appeals concerning the political crisis in Rivers State, based on several grave unconstitutional acts and the disregard of the rule of law that has been committed by the governor of Rivers State, as shown by the evidence before it, pronounced in very clear terms. And I quote, "A government cannot be said to exist without one of the 3 arms that make up of the government of a state under the 1999 Constitution as amended. In this case, the head of the executive arm of the government has chosen to collapse the legislature to enable him to govern without the legislature as a despot. As it is, there is no government in Rivers State," and I quote. The above pronouncement came after a catalog of judicial findings of constitutional breaches against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Going forward in their judgment, and having found and held that 27 members of the House who had allegedly deflected, and I quote, "are still valid members of Rivers State House of Assembly and cannot be prevented from participating in proceedings of that House by the 8th respondent, that is the governor, in cohort with 4 members," and unquote. The Supreme Court then made some orders to restore the state to immediate constitutional democracy. These orders include the immediate passing of an appropriation bill by the Rivers State House of Assembly, which up to now has not been facilitated. Some militants had threatened fire and brimstone against their perceived enemies of the governor, who has up to now not disowned them. Apart from that, both the House and the governor have not been able to work together. Both of them do not realize that they are in office to work together for the peace and good governance of the state. The latest security report made available to me show that between yesterday and today, there have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them. I have, of course, given stand order to the security agencies to ensure safety of lives of goods people of Rivers State and the oil pipelines. With all this and many more, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to continue without taking remedial steps prescribed by the Constitution to address the situation in the state, which no doubt requires extraordinary measures to restore good governance, peace, order, and security. In these circumstances, having soberly reflected on and evaluated the political situation in Rivers State, and the governor and deputy governor of Rivers State, having failed to make a request to me as president to issue this proclamation as required by Section 305, Paragraph 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Similaye Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly state are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months. In the meantime, I hereby nominate.
All right, you're welcome back. It's still Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. So basically, that was what the president said when he declared the state of emergency in Rivers State. All of that, that he said as regards the state of emergency. Now, yesterday he came back to say that it gave him great pleasure to declare that the state of emergency in Rivers State has ended effective from midnight. He said that from the intelligence available to him, there's a groundswell of a new spirit of understanding, a robust readiness, and potent enthusiasm on the part of all stakeholders in Rivers State for an immediate return to democratic governance. Now, he said so much about that. Now, Mr. Sani, my question is this. The president said all stakeholders, have embraced peace. We would expect that the stakeholders in this in this situation would be, obviously the governor, the executive and the House of Assembly. But what we saw during that period was not even a reconciliation between the governor and the House. It was instead a reconciliation between the governor and the former governor.
The truth of the matter is what happened in Rivers State happened because a particular greedy guy couldn't have his way, and they went to settle the matter in the office of a bigger greedy guy. The truth of the matter is that if we have somebody like Umar Musa Yar'Adua in office as we speak right now, I can tell you that Wiki would have lost out totally, because he was a very, very, very fair president. I never met him alive, and it's one of my biggest regrets till date. I had the opportunity, but I didn't make use of it. Until this very present day, I am ruining that decision to not to have seen him then.
Let me ask, so that you can also add to what you're saying.
Okay.
Now, this piece that took 6 months of emergency rule to find, recall that the president waded into this matter in December of 2023, before the emergency rule, where he compelled Fubara to recognize. We spoke about this here, where he said his comments were one-sided. Couldn't this piece have been found in that 2023 when the president waded into the matter, rather than taking the people of Rivers State through 6 months emergency
The truth
rule?
of the matter is that the president has actually damaged our democracy. He had everything within his, right to say, Fubara, work with these people. It's not a matter of you are now compelled to work with them. For the Wike side, it's not about working for Rivers State. It is about being in charge of the resources of Lagos State. And if you look at what the president is doing, look at Lagos State, for instance. When the president was leaving, a company called Alpha Beta was instituted, and that company has been managing revenue for Lagos State, which in my opinion is an aberration, because in Lagos State there is an agency called Lagos Inland Revenue Service. Apparently that is what is motivating somebody like Wike. It may not come in the name of direct revenue, but being in control is what matters here. If we had not been unlucky to have somebody who did that in Lagos State as our president right now, the person would have told Wike the truth. Guy, you had your 80 years. Move on. That is it. Kisho Yedile, it's not something you come by through a edition. It's something that you work for. Not that, oh, my father was great, I must be great. That is not how to handle public office. You were there, you had your own time, let another person come. It's another person's time. Let the person have his own time. And, when the people want to appraise the person's performance, it's going to be 2004, 2006, this was the guy who was there. So let's talk about what he did. Not that somebody is going to be there forever and ever. You now begin to say, oh, it's my legacy. What sort of legacy is that? There's no legacy. The only legacy you have in government is legacy you built while you were there. Not that something happens after you have gone.
All right, we'll take a short break on Perspectives Unlimited. When we come back, the conversation continues, so please don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
How long will it take you to confirm payment? I have been waiting for the past 1 hour.
I'm so sorry. Our network is slow. I will just run out of data.
Same excuse yesterday. It is unacceptable, please. You better switch to One Data Internet Service.
One Data?
Yes, One Data. One Data is an internet service provider with the best alternative and solution for unlimited speed. One Data provides fast and reliable internet service to organizations, homes, and places of interest in Nigeria. With One Data, you get to enjoy the premium internet service with dedicated unlimited internet speed at all times, 24/7 fantastic customer service and support, and you enjoy a 1-month free subscription when you make payment. Now is the time to say goodbye to downtimes. Sign up with One Data today on 0811 223 2671 or visit www.onedata.ng for more inquiries. One Data, unlimited speed.
Boost your business with Wells Radio 89.3 FM. In a competitive world of business, strategic brand and product positioning is key to growth. Don't remain unseen in the shadows. Shine a spotlight on your brand with Wells Radio 89.3 FM today. Why Wells Radio? We are your state's #1 family radio station. We connect with the heart of families in your state. As the smallest unit of the society, families trust Wells Radio for quality content and information. Visit us today along Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. Our white and blue building just before Sharp Corner ensures your business won't go unnoticed. Advertise with us today. Call our marketing office on 0903 936 8185. Call Toby on 0803 509 3394. Ayo on 0706 840-7359. Take the leap today. Let Wells Radio 89.3 FM be the megaphone for your business success. You won't regret it.
All right, you're welcome back. It's Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. We're taking a look at headlines and stories making the rounds across the different dailies in Nigeria, and you can be a part of the conversation this morning by calling our phone lines. We're talking about these issues, and we want you to also join in. The phone lines are open 0916 893 1000, 0915 333 4893, and 0911 3333 893. I'll take the numbers again 0916 893 1000, 0915 333 4893, and 0911 3333 893. You can also drop your comments on our Facebook fan page, Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, or you can also send us a WhatsApp message to 0915 4999 893. That's how you can reach us and be a part of the conversation this morning. Let's talk about what happened in Lagos yesterday. Now, according to the Punch newspaper, 7 victims have been confirmed dead following the fire incident at the Afriland Tower in the Lagos Island area of Lagos. Apparently, this happened. The fire itself happened on Tuesday, and victims were said to have died in hospitals across the state where they had been rushed to after being evacuated from the high-rise building. Apparently, doctors are battling to save the lives of the remaining victims in the hospitals. Now, this incident was just one of 2 separate fire incidents that rocked the Lagos Island business district on Tuesday and left several others injured and goods worth millions of naira destroyed. Apparently, the first fire started at Afriland Tower in Marina, and the second gutted Mandela's Market and adjoining plazas along Taiwo Street. We saw videos on social media with individuals attempting to jump from the Afriland Tower story building. You know, some others were rescued with the aid of ladders by residents and passers-by. I saw one where, there were 3 ladders, and the man on the 3rd ladder was trying to, throw like a rope or something to people up, and he kept, for me, it was like I should, just enter the video and also support him. And for me, a heart-rending moment was when his ladder too almost fell down.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who was watching behind me said, I'm an issue ratio, and it's a really bad one. This has gotten, so many people talking about this, saying that, that there was a fire. What happened to the fire exits? What happened to the structural integrity of that building? Mr. Sani, what do you have on this?
The owners of the building failed the country, and the government of Lagos and also the federal government failed Nigeria and Nigerians. Number one, let's talk about the building. Ideally, you would expect that a building of that size should have an impeccable and unimpeachable fire exit that through it, irrespective of the floor that you are currently on, you can easily and almost effortlessly get out of that building. But it appears to me, looking at the building after the incident, emphasis was more on per square meter than safety. I hope you know what I mean by per square meter. They wanted to exhaust every
all the space
they could. All the space they could. They could see on the floor of the building. That's number one. Number two, first responders didn't. I won't blame the first responders. I would rather blame the authorities. You must have seen what I'm trying to picture here. Instances where you would be driving on the road and you see people on a particular platform walking on street lights. I don't know if you can pick what I'm trying to say. That elevated platform that takes them up high to walk on the street lights. If they had something like that, they would have been fetching those guys from the windows immediately. Apparently,
from the affected floors.
Apparently, they didn't have that, and they were now throwing pillows, beds for people to jump from the 4th floor. The building itself is not a very, very tall building. It's just 6-story. It's just a 6-story building. It's not like Cocoa House or some other very tall towers that we have in Lagos. This is just an average building for Broad Street in Marina, and they couldn't have common and basic equipment to combat what happened.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
This is
morning to you,
Adenke.
madam. Okay, Adirunke, you're
This is
welcome to the
Adenke
show.
from
You're
Musa. Thank
welcome.
you.
Let's have a
Yeah,
contribution.
yeah. Concerning Fubaria, it's good to know he has been reinstated back to office. So I will just urge him that he should use the remaining month left of his government to create some positive impact in the lives of the people of Rivers State. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Adirunke, for your contribution this morning. You can be like Adirunke and be a part of the conversation. 0916 893 1000, 0915 333 893, and 0911 333 3893.
You would expect the building of that magnitude to have internal sprinklers and fire smoke detectors. That once fire is detected, water begins to, go in every direction. I have seen something like that before. Apparently, nothing of that nature. It's just a matter of erect
no
that
sprinklers.
Erect the building, put people in it. I mean, that's not how to. Now you would expect to have a panel of inquiry that will go into the remote and immediate causes of that fire. We're talking about 7 people. 7 families are mourning right now. And, the Federal Inland Revenue Services, Revenue Service as FIRS as an apartment in that building.
And also bank staff.
And they lost 4 people, 2 assistant directors. I don't know how well they are in their family, but you never can tell. That might have been the breadwinners of those families. Assistant director of FIRS, not be small thing. And some bankers
regardless of what life was even.
No, what I'm trying to say here is this: 7 people died. And as of now, nobody's talking about how to ensure that such doesn't happen again.
Now,
how do you ensure
Afriland
that?
itself has issued a statement, to say this is how the fire started. They said it started from their inverter room, and they now say that initial reports indicate that the incident began in the inverter room and regrettably smoke spread quickly through the building, including the emergency exits, even as standard safety protocol were being observed during the evacuation.
The truth of the matter is that, as we speak right now, the entire building should have been on lockdown. I would not take what Afriland is telling me right now. Rather, I would have independent people go in to see what is happening. Those are the people I want to listen to. Afriland will not issue a statement and indict themselves in the statement. It's never going to happen. But again, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I know the owner of Afriland. I may not be able to say the name of the person, but this person is a super big boy who is in bed with the governor of Lagos State and the president of the Republic of Nigeria. So let us not expect anything. And that is a disaster, because it's only a matter of time before another person builds something without necessarily factoring escape routes and things like that.
Talking about that, Mr. Sani, let's take a quick detour and talk about the structural integrity process. In Nigeria, generally, over just like the past year, we've heard of several building collapses in Lagos, this same Lagos state.
Everywhere, but majorly in Lagos.
Majorly in Lagos.
In fact, my grandfather's street, it used to be Wickman Street. Now it's Borono Street. That's where the last incident that happened in Yaba over the weekend happened. I know the street like the back of my hand.
So it's a question of, is anyone really overseeing, is the agency in charge that is supposed to be in charge of ensuring that everybody's building houses now. People are building, everybody wants to build, sky high.
Let me ask you a question, madam. Have you not seen an instance where people from government offices would come and paint a building, stop corruption red,
stop construction,
and the following week the same people who came to paint stop corruption will now say approved? Haven't you seen that before? I have seen that countlessly, and that tells me that it's all about revenue generation. Have you come to our office to pay?
So not necessarily about ensuring
that is the only thing that can justify a situation where you would say stop construction and the following week you say approved.
And also, we also need to put into consideration that these days it seems that many people, construct houses without the necessary professionals.
Once you have
use bricklayers.
Once you have 25 million, once you have 25 million that you're not using, Daddy Matthew, Daddy Tower, can you sketch a plan? And Daddy Tower too wants to make money. There is no regulation. There is nothing.
This is, you can even print a house plan off the internet.
Yes, you can. But I have seen a lot of instances where Daddy Tower, Daddy Matthew, scribbled something on a paper, and construction started. As an architect, as an engineer, you would know where to place the beam. Column. Pillar here. Mm-hmm. But these guys is just about supply me block and cement.
and can we also talk about the quality of construction items? I saw a video, I'm not sure of how old that video is, where someone was, carrying these blocks that are used in the construction house,
and everything was just
it was crumbling. It was crumbling.
Yes, not just blocks. The only thing that I can certify as we speak today is the quality of sand. Apart from sand, nothing is as it was. Get a 16 rod today, and you can almost bend it with your bare arms.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, the beautiful little woman.
Good morning to you, sir. You're welcome.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
This is Pinga Mari calling from Apata.
You're welcome,
well,
Mr. Mari.
It's so sad that we have to lose some 4 members in that inferno that happened in Lagos some few days ago. But in this country, we are always fond of talking about happening, an event of sorts. But we've not been able to tell how we can foresee further excesses of such an event from occurring in the nearest future. Number one, like what Mr. Sunday was saying a while ago, he said he knew the owner of the PPA guy that is a rich guy like that. And I want to tell you for free that the building will not be, actually the building ought to be demolished and rebuilt again, because some of those blocks would have been weakened as a result of that being panel. I want to tell you for free, Nigeria, you just see that in the next few months, after they discover that the detention has been out, they will just try and refurbish, not even demolish, just mount some blocks, add it up together, and build up structure again. And who knows if there might be a kind of occurrence again that we don't pay for it, that such will occur again. Yeah, I would have expected Governor Sanwo-Olu to order the demolition of that building, because the structure have been weakened, I'm telling you. But because in this year, anything goes. And I would like for the management of UPBA and IFRS as well to ensure that they pay a kind of, maybe they pay kind of fund to the family of the deceased, because some of those people that lost their life, they might be a breadwinner in their various families, who knows. So I think they should try and do that for them. And lastly, on the issue of River State, well, I want to welcome to governance in River State, but I want to categorically reject what Mr. President said while he was reading his broadcast yesterday, that he does not have a single right yet to, despite all he said, he does not still have the right to crush the democratic structure at all. It doesn't, but it has come and it has done. He has done what he ought to do. Mr. Lekon, we could collect yesterday when he bought Iba for leaving the government house. Some security guys, you are
protesting,
prevent him from leaving.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard about that.
Yes, I saw the video.
You know, go green. I saw the video. Yes, they said they can't. They wanted to take out some money from the government house, and they said no, that they were there for the period of 6 months that they were governing, that they were securing the government house. That they are not well taken care of. That they were just left on their own, and they prevented him from leaving yesterday. That shows that man has committed a great atrocity for the period of 6 months. And how I wish that we will bring the guy to book to come and give an account of how he has spent the money of the people of River State. But in this country, we can never hear so.
Mr. Mario, who do you think should institute that? Who do you think should institute that process?
Our Subala should come on board. If Subala can instigate to come and give the account, Subala can do that. And as well, even the assembly member, they can as well do that. I'm telling you, all they just needed to do is just to call him, to recall him, come and give the stewardship of how he has spent the money in River, because he have an access to trillions of naira. Because River is one of the most richest state in the country. But he has the father who is the president. He has the Senate back up. So we're going to, if Mr. Kubana to call him, come and give an account, do you think that would be the life of the East? It's so certain that is when you find ourselves in this country. But when you work I'm telling you, he's going to be a billionaire for the rest of his life for that 6 months. Thank you very much, and God bless you guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mario, for your contribution. 0916-893-1000, 0915-333-4893, 0911-333-3893. Hello, good morning.
Hello, my lady. Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
In Ibadan. I'm Chief Ken.
Sir?
Hi, Chief Ken.
Hi, Chief Ken.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Please, let's have your contribution.
River saga, river problem, we all know it. All of us, but some doesn't want to talk. Removing the former governor there, elected governor, and putting an interim emergency, call is not the right way. Why we case over there in Abuja is because it's the role he plays during the time of 2023 election. And that's why they don't want to toy. He doesn't want to toy again. He wants this man to follow the footsteps what he did. But let me tell him, in Delta State, the governor that is there, the sitting governor there was Ifeanyi Okowa, and the rest of others. But at the end of the day, they were there. PDP, they are there. APC, they are there. But being a vice president, you know that Labour cleared that state. That's why when they are defeated, I don't bother myself because they're not the one to vote. Labour cleared the whole, in Nigeria, right from the one. After Kano, after Lagos, Kano, even Lagos election did not, all of them did not count.
Hello, Chief. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
Yeah. So, what do you think is what's the next step for the people of Rivers State?
But even though they removed Bada and brought him back, what will happen will happen. It is the role he played, we can play when he was there, getting up to over 1 million votes. Look, during election, it's a matter of that's the way than to destroy the voting, the people that voted, and that's what happened. Millions of votes of Labour destroyed, and this time what we are passing through now in this country. Even Jonathan in PDP or any other places like it will not be so again. If they want, let them do anything they want to do to Pobara. Okay. Nothing will vote must count in that state of their choice.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why he was getting that minister as a minister. He did the work. All millions of votes were destroyed of Labour Party.
Thank you so much, Chief. So that we can make room for others to also call the show, but we value your contribution. Thank you so much, sir. All right. You can still make the calls. We have some minutes left on the show, and you can still be a part. Now, cash transfer. Federal government pays 330 billion naira to 8.1 million households. Mr. Sani, this is a big 2025. Is this cash transfer, which started during the time of the former president, I believe it started with all this trader money and the likes. Is this what we need in 2025?
Two things can make a leader say, I want to embark on cash transfer. Number one is that such a leader wants to steal money, in my opinion. Number two is that such a leader is as dumb as a rock. You have 300 billion naira to play with. And what is flowing in your head is that you want to, like we say on the street, share the money. That should not occur. Build human capital with that money. Hospitals all around are in serious trouble. I'm talking about government-owned hospitals. I don't know if you are following the back and forth between the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital and in Kano Electricity Distribution Company. 3 people on life support suddenly died because power went out in the hospital. Have you thought of what would have happened if they had invested in power infrastructure for each and every of these teaching hospitals? We won't be talking about this anymore. Look at higher institutions. They are, as far as I'm concerned, Mangolo institutions, because there is nothing to write home about those places. Look at the state of our roads. I just came back from a trip that shouldn't have,
Mr. Sani, apologies for cutting because we don't have so much time. But let's even, look. Let's
forget about what could have.
Let's not go that far.
Okay.
Let's just take a look at this this cash transfers. Now, I did some quick calculation. 330 billion divided by that should be 8.1 million, right? Because it's at the end of the day, it's not a lot of money. I think that's the major issue.
In its lump sum, you think it's money, but when you share it among the number of people they claimed to have shared,
that's 40,740
so what do you want to do with
74
what do you want to
So
do?
the real question is, what can a family do with 40,740 naira?
Nothing. I can tell you that in terms of what is tangible, nothing. But why not embark on medical insurance for everybody? That money, 40K, of course, it's not everybody that's going to fall sick. I can't remember the last time I visited a hospital for myself, for my own sake.
But at least for those who need to.
People need that every day.
And private health insurance is now so expensive.
Imagine what would have happened if they had said, okay, we are using 300 billion naira to create medical insurance for Nigerians, if only for the next 1 year, even if it's just for the next 1 week. If anything is wrong with you, go to UC, they're going to take care of you. Someone like me will applaud that till their kingdom come. But 40,000 that we know too well will get lost in it.
It's not really enough, honestly.
Let's talk about the reality on the ground. Apart from the fact that it's nothing. What is even the assurance that it's going to get to the people that they are telling us it's going to get to? A certain guy in the not so distant past who called himself a professor was working around markets in Nigeria and was sharing money in envelopes. A professor of law, for that matter. He was sharing money in markets. They said it was 10,000 naira then. People opened the envelope and they found 8,000. Some even found 6,000 in it. And that was what the guy was handing out personally. Now think of the one that they are saying, oh, they have sent it to your account. How many accounts have they sent? So, and let me even tell you, if anybody needs 40K in this country, if somebody's life depends on 40K in this country, most likely that person does not even have a bank account. These are the people who live in the hinterlands, in the interior, people who do not even know what a smartphone is. Not to talk of how to now create a smart an account on the smartphone. So let's not trick ourselves here. So let me say something, madam. People may say, "Oh, who doesn't have a bank account?" According to government statistics, 90 million Nigerians don't have access to power supply.
Let's talk about power supply.
Some people think that Nigeria is Ibadan, Lagos.
Some people in this big Ibadan don't have access to power supply. I think that's it. Some people in the as urban as Ibadan is, some people don't have access to power supply. Meanwhile, the federal government says it has allocated 300 billion naira to provide a stable electricity supply in teaching hospitals and universities across the country. This was from the member representing Bichi Federal Constituency and the chairman House Committee on Appropriation, Abubakar Bichi. He said that there's the unveiling of a solar hybrid intervention project.
Okay, let me tell you something about a budget we executed not so long in this country. At the end of the day, they told us recurrent expenditure 100%. Capital expenditure, just 20%. What I'm trying to say is that for money going into Babafeja, they want to buy cars and stuff like that, they exhausted everything that was allocated. But for capital project, it was just 20% that they released. I will not say yes as regards this particular matter until I see it with my two eyes.
Especially, of course, also because we're hearing that the 2025 budget
is starting later on this. I mean, that's insanity.
On our Facebook page, Sulaiman Sharif says, "Good morning and kudos to everyone in the studio. No need to vote state governors in Nigeria again, since the president can suspend them at his own will. That's not a democracy." Well, he says something here which I won't say. said additionally
Okay, you
they
don't want
managed
DSS to
to
call you.
conduct a local
Like they're
government
calling Showore.
election during the emergency rule, even though both the legislature and the executive arm, two key components of a democracy, were absent. Is that a democracy or political design to hijack Rivers ahead of 2027 for APC? Well, that's a question we won't be able to answer because we're out of time on the show. Thank you to everyone who has called and who is still trying to call. Unfortunately, we can't take any more calls, but you can join the Yoruba version of this show by 8 a.m. Agbeyewo Iroyin Agbomagbe right here on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. While you wait for that, make it a date with Sir Delere by 7:30 on AM Sports. Thank you so much, Mr. Sani, for joining us.
It is always an honor to be here.
My name is Bolanle Oduekun-Ayoola. This is Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio, your number one family radio in the whole of Oyo State. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.